Hey, Chris.
Hey.
It's been really interesting to be here today. And looking forward to some really great conversations. And we've been just talking a little bit about growing a workforce using the workforce capability framework.
When I think about growing our workforce, I actually think about a group of people that come to this work with a great sense of passion and purpose. And I think that is a beautiful way to start with this work that we do. When I consider the skills that we require in our work, I think there is a couple of layers that we don't often articulate at every level, I think. And the first layer is, I think, the obvious layer, and that's the hard skills that we bring to our work, and how do we develop our people to be able to do that really concrete kind of skills-based work like risk assessment, therapy and intervention, upskilling people on, legislation changes and frameworks that we use in the sector. But there's another layer, I think, that we probably don't articulate as often, and that is the professional responsibility that sits underneath. And really is the basis of where we work from. And those are things like accountability, self-awareness, ethics and ethical behaviour, communication, a genuine commitment to healthy culture, and a commitment to your own sense of well-being too. We know that this work is difficult and challenging at times, and so there is absolutely a responsibility for organisations, but there's a responsibility for us as individuals coming to this work also to be really aware of how we look after ourselves. We need to think about how we're developing people along the continuum of the work. Obviously, a lot of people come to us with a university education, which is a great starting point when you're entering the workplace, but there's a number of things that we need to look at when we're looking at really supporting people to do this work. And I think from a leadership perspective, having a really solid understanding of what your skills matrix looks like, so where your strengths are in your team and potentially where some room for growth and development is, and then planning accordingly to support teams to be able to fill those gaps where they are needed. I think there's also value in thinking about, when we're talking about developing people and longevity and keeping really good people in our workforce, there's this natural shift that happens for practitioners moving into leadership, and I think we need to really consider how we support people in that transition into leadership and understand that it's often, while some of the skills from practitioner and working at the grassroots are transferable, there's also some development that is really, really helpful in helping practitioners move into the leadership space. And so as an organisation and as leaders of organisations, I think it's really important to have a solid plan around how we do that with our people. One thing that I think is super important, and it sounds really simple, but the question that we need to ask ourselves always is, how are we listening to our teams? I think our teams actually hold the wisdom about where the pain points are, where the difficulties are, and potentially where the gaps are, I think, in terms of where they need to be supported. And so as leaders and organisations, I think it's really important that we're constantly asking, how are we providing an open and transparent place for our teams to come to us and talk about what they might be struggling with, what they might need help with, and then identify where, there's some shared, I guess, places where developing and building that capability sit for teams. The wisdom absolutely is sitting in our sectors, and I think what I love about the capability framework is that it gives us a tool, a platform, just a resource to use and draw that wisdom out. The answers don't always have to be difficult or complicated. I think sometimes it is just creating a place for some stillness and some feedback, whether that's informally or formally or both, ideally, so that people feel comfortable to talk about where they might need some help and growth and development. I think when we create open culture that we do provide workplaces that people are drawn to and want to be with, and especially when that's genuine. And I think that's what it's about for me is creating that genuine space for communication, so that if there are places in your teams where there is opportunity to develop. I think there's individual development, obviously, and capability and growing, and everybody's on a different pathway. Everybody's got different roles in our organisations, but sometimes there are shared kind of experiences. And if we give people the opportunity to talk about them, then we are absolutely going to be creating and responding to our teams in a genuine way around their needs so that they can do their jobs better.